Hi, I'm Mackenzie, and I decided to do my report on children who are gifted and talented. And I chose this exceptionality in particular because I actually have personal experience with it. I chose to create a report over this because I grew up in my school's gifted and talented program. It was offered in 2nd through 7th grade, so I was in it for that entire period of time. And in my district, we called it REACH, which stands for Reaching Exceptional Academic and Creative Heights. I thoroughly enjoyed participating in this program. I began to notice at a young age that I was reading at a much higher level than my classmates were, and the curriculum was too easy for me. And so in 2nd grade, I was tested and placed in the REACH program. I loved the enrichment pullouts the most that I got to participate in because every Wednesday and Friday they would come and pull us out of class for about an hour or so, and we would get to go into an extra classroom and participate in some challenging activities, do some puzzles, stuff like that with other kids who were gifted and talented. And those other students quickly became some of my very best friends because we had so much in common. So I don't really care for the federal definition of gifted and talented because it's really broad and it mostly focuses on the academic aspect of it, but it's so much more than that to me. But the federal definition states that giftedness often refers to exceptional intelligence or academic ability. However, like I said, I believe that it goes much deeper than this. I think it goes far beyond academics, and I feel that giftedness expands into a wide variety of other areas such as creativity, new approaches to solving problems, other talents in areas like music, the arts, and sports. And I feel that these kids also handle social and emotional situations differently than others. So, academics, of course, we already know the federal definition explains that these students excel in academics. And intelligence is the capacity to acquire, process, and use information. And as the definition states, these students have a higher intelligence. These students may read at a higher level, be able to solve problems and equations more quickly, or tend to become bored with average curriculum because it is below their thinking level. So as I mentioned, I feel that giftedness goes far beyond academics, and one of those ways is the creativity and the unique approaches to problem solving. These students will look at a problem and they will think of a number of ways to solve it. They won't just solve it one specific way. For example, in a math equation, they might count on their fingers, they might write down the numbers, they might draw a picture, make a diagram, just solve it in a variety of ways and check themselves multiple times. These students may exhibit other talents having to do with sports, music, art, performing, etc. Students who are gifted also originate, perform, produce, or respond at exceptionally high levels in either dance, music, singing, drama, or in drawing and painting. So let's talk about some causes of giftedness. This one was kind of difficult to define because it's like there's not a lot of proven causes of it, but although giftedness can stem from a variety of factors in an individual's life, there are thought to be causes for giftedness, both hereditary and biological factors, as well as environmental factors. So as I said, it was kind of difficult to define causes for giftedness, but scientists have been trying to prove a link between genetics and giftedness. And although genetics contribute, as genetics contribute to just about anything else, hard work is a much larger contributor to an individual's abilities. So some environmental factors include the requirement that we have for nurturing and encouragement. So our successes need to be celebrated, our accomplishments and our achievements need recognition, because that allows us to excel. It gives us motivation to go above and beyond. And we also must have opportunities readily available. We need room to grow in order to succeed. So, some characteristics of gifted and talented students. Students who exhibit signs of giftedness tend to show specific cognitive, social, and emotional, and physical characteristics. So, some cognitive characteristics, that's dealing with the way they think things through, the way they solve problems, etc. They may perceive subtle distinctions in moral reasoning. They often ponder questions deeply and consider many possible answers. As I talked about before, they'll come up with a variety of solutions to a problem. They'll ask themselves complex questions, and they exhibit accelerated rates of learning, as we know, and that's why they need specialized curriculum or other programs, because they learn the curriculum much faster than other students do. So some social and emotional characteristics, I related to a lot of these since I have experience in this, but although many of these students may feel similarly to other students when it comes to social and emotional aspects, some may feel different or like an outcast. They will feel misunderstood, and they will tend to socially isolate themselves from others. They, however, benefit from building friendships with other gifted students because they tend to feel closer to people who have a lot in common with them. And they rely on the support of their families and teachers. As I talked about previously, they need encouragement and they need their successes to be celebrated in order to continue to motivate them and push them to do their best. They bond well with those who share similar interests with them, as I said. And these students are often perfectionists. I also find myself having perfectionist tendencies. And we may tend to feel like a failure if we do not always excel on our schoolwork. If we get a B instead of an A, we may feel inferior. We may cry about it. That's a common trait in gifted students. So some physical characteristics, these were difficult to define as well. But studies show that individuals who are gifted tend to be stronger, bigger, and healthier than their age mates. However, students in the gifted and talented category are diverse, coming from all different backgrounds, cultures, shapes, and sizes. So the definition that I said at first was in the book, but I feel like this is an older definition, older characteristic, because as we see now, these students come in a variety of diverse backgrounds, cultures, characteristics. So it's hard to put physical characteristics on these students because they're all so unique. So the behavior of gifted students, as I've mentioned previously, it's almost impossible to organize these students into a single category because they all portray such unique qualities. I feel that when it comes to the behavior of these students, they can be grouped into two umbrella terms, and those are the ones who have a gift for leadership. They are naturally born leaders, and then the ones who feel like social outcasts, the ones that kind of close themselves off from everybody else. So those who are gifted with leadership, this quote is from the book, students who show confidence and knowledge, influence others effectively, have problem-solving and decision-making skills, express ideas in oral or written form clearly, and show a sense of purpose and direction. So these students have a strong passion and ability to lead and will likely behave as such in the classroom. And they are able to effectively take charge, they are not shy, they are confident, and group work is very easy for them. They do not exhibit any signs of anxiety or shyness. They have no problem talking to others or presenting in front of the class. I unfortunately do not exhibit this quality. Even recording this presentation makes me a little nervous, so. And then we have the socially misunderstood as they feel. So this quote is also from the book. It says, "Some students may feel different, misunderstood, and socially isolated. They feel socially vulnerable. Most get along with a select few peers with similar interests." So these students will behave differently than the ones we previously talked about. They will tend to be more shy, quiet, and closed off from others, only attaching themselves to people with similar interests to them. However, just because these students are reserved does not make them any less brilliant. They just have a harder time communicating with other people. Okay, intervention options for gifted students. There are a variety of intervention options for gifted and talented students, ranging from modified curriculum to out-of-class pullouts, all the way to specialized schools, which I actually know of a specialized school from my hometown. But reading this in the book, I got to learn more about what those schools do, how you get into those schools, etc. So the first question I had was, is early intervention an option? Because I have seen throughout all the other chapters and with all the other exceptionalities that early intervention is an option. However, gifted and talented is a little bit different. If the signs of giftedness begin to appear early on in a child's life, their parent or guardian may begin searching for early intervention. However, giftedness is extremely difficult to identify in children until they're older, typically around the 3rd to 4th grade age. That's why most schools will begin testing around 2nd to 3rd grade, because those signs become more clear and they're easier to identify at that age. Parents should not try to make these assumptions on their own, because they may make misguided attempts to challenge their children that are more harmful than beneficial. For example, if a parent thinks that their child is exhibiting gifted qualities, they may swap out their child's toys for books or flashcards or things like that. And since we can't identify those children at such a young age, that may be more harmful than beneficial, because you're taking away their childhood, basically. And these kids are not little adults, they're still children. So assumptions should not be made about this. Okay, one option is modifying the curriculum. So modifying the curriculum is also known as differentiation, which is the adaptation of educational programs and teaching methods to meet the unique needs of gifted learners. Differentiation can involve modifications in content, process, classroom environment, and teacher behavior. So for the content, teachers should offer more in-depth and challenging curriculum, even if it's not offered to all students, because of course not all students are gifted, so not all students need this specialized curriculum. But offering those options to the students who need it is beneficial. For the process, incorporating a variety of teaching methods as well as classroom materials, which we have seen in several of the exceptionalities we've gone over this semester. It's important to incorporate variety into the classroom. And finally, classroom environment and teacher behavior. Every student in our classroom should be able to learn and feel comfortable, and an educator should not express frustration when asked to meet his or her students' unique needs, as with any exceptionality, because these students should be able to feel safe, feel comfortable, and learn in an environment that is beneficial to them. Enrichment pullouts. These are my favorite. These were my favorite growing up, and I think they are extremely effective. This quote is from the book. Enrichment can refer to adding disciplines or areas of learning not found in the regular curriculum, using more in-depth material and enhancing the teaching strategies used to present instruction. So enrichment pullouts for gifted and talented students are a great method to give them more rigorous curriculum and challenging puzzles, activities, games, and teaching they need to success without teaching they need to succeed without disrupting the general education classroom. So these are specialized staff members that are specifically trained for teaching these students, and they can pull these students out of the classroom to give them the curriculum and the teaching that they need to succeed. And these pullouts also offer an opportunity for these students to work with other students who are gifted, so they will be able to make friends with students who have more in common with them. And finally, specialized schools. And this quote is from the book. Some schools are exclusively designed for gifted and talented students. Magnet schools, for example, may be designed to place special emphasis on science, the arts, or some other content area to attract students with interests or talents in that specific area. So these specialized schools for gifted and talented students offer an environment where all of their peers exhibit giftedness just as they do, which creates an environment they can thrive in. Specialized schools also offer curriculum made especially for them, which eliminates the need for the enrichment pullouts because they are already learning that curriculum in the classroom. Teachers are trained specifically to teach gifted and talented students, so that eliminates a little bit of the frustration that some general education teachers may have. Like I said before, there is actually a specialized school in my hometown. It's called Arkansas Arts Academy, and obviously their main focus is visual and performing arts. So I kind of got to see firsthand what a specialized school is like. I never attended it, but I had friends who attended it, and I think it's a really interesting program, and I think it offers a lot for these gifted and talented students. And for my reference, I used our textbook. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for watching.